Alright, we are now moving on to Lesson 6. On this one, what you're looking at is a comparison between the sizes of numbers based on place value. To kind of make that a little more concrete, I'm going to start with a quick review with you, just so you remember where your place values are. So you've got a decimal right here, and anything that side of the decimal from here over means you're talking about whole numbers. Whole things that have not been cut up or reduced in size as of yet. If it's on this side of the decimal, however, you're talking that you started with a whole, but then you broke it up into pieces. And so just as a reminder, when you're talking about money, for example, you've got ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, and then we get on up to millions. And you can see in here how many zeros there are. And we've played around with, 10 with an exponent, and we know that this is 10 to the 6th power, because if you multiply 10 times itself 6 times, you're going to get a million. And you can tell because there's 6 zeros here. So 10 to the 6th power gets you that number. We also too know 10 to the 2nd power that we've been using a lot is 10 to a 2, 10 squared, and we also too know that gets us 100, 10 times 10, because there's 2 zeros here, and so 10 to the 2nd power, 2, is your exponent, 2 zeros is the result. 10 to the 3rd gets you this one, it's 10 to the 3 power, and there's 3 zeros. Now if we go the other direction and say we take a 1, we divide it by 10. So now our 1, say you have a sandwich, one sandwich, you cut it into 10 equal pieces, you've got 10 friends, each one of them is going to get 1/10 of a whole sandwich, because you divided it by 10. Now we're going to say that you divided it by 10 squared, like we just talked about, 10 times 10, 2 zeros, 10 to the 2nd power. If you divide a whole into 100 pieces, you've got 100 friends, you give them each 1/100th of a sandwich. When they stop complaining, you can kind of play, have some good times. However, here's where things get pretty dark. You take that sandwich, you divide it by 10 to the 3rd power. That's 1,000 pieces. These are really tiny sandwiches. We can say that each of your 1,000 friends is going to get 1/1000th of a sandwich. So when we read those, 1/1000th, as a decimal, there's nothing in the 10th place, nothing in the 100th place, and there is your 1 here, because it's 1/1000th. If you read this fraction, it also too is 1/1000th. Alright, so to move on from there, what we're going to be taking a look at today in class is stuff like this, where we're comparing their size. And so this one, this very first one right here, we can read this out loud. 83, the 3 is in the 100th place, 83 hundredths. This fraction right here is also 83 hundredths. So we can say those are equal to each other. This one, 205 thousandths. This one, we know the last digit's in the thousandths place, so that also is 205 thousandths. Again, they're equal to each other. This next one, we've got 16 and 45 hundredths, because the 5 is in the hundredths place. 16 and 45 hundredths. This one, however, is 16 and 454 thousandths. So the numbers match completely until you get to the thousandths place. And so if you had 16 sandwiches, and you also had 45 hundredths of sandwiches, you've got a lot of sandwich. However, if you had 16 and you still have your 45 hundredths, but then you throw in 4,004 sandwich, this is more sandwich. So your unequal sign, your unequal sign, let's make that a little neater, shall we? We'll make the circle bigger. So the bigger side is where the bigger opening is. This point is tiny, so it points at the smaller side. So we know that this is bigger. So so greater than, equal to, that kind of thing. Here's what's going on with this one. 95 and 45 thousandths. There's nothing in the tenths place. Tenths is bigger than the others, right? This one we've got the 45 and the thousandths also, but we happen to have 5 there. So if you're talking sandwiches again, there's no tenths of sandwiches in this one, but there are tenths of sandwiches in this one. So that one actually is bigger as well. Now we're getting into words. 158 thousandths. If we read this, this is just simply 58 thousandths. 158 thousandths, if we were going to write that out, it's going to look like 158 thousandths. 158 thousandths. Actually, you know what? There's no and in there, is there, for a decimal? So that one, it's going to come over like this. Sorry. 158 thousandths. 158 thousandths. If you've got 1/10 of a sandwich, this one happens to have 5/10 of a sandwich. So this one is less than this one. So we're going to make this little pointy, point at that one. So do you see what happened just then? I was thinking 100. And so I was thinking, oh my gosh, 100. And then I had in my head that there was an and there for the decimal, but there wasn't one. So that totally would have thrown off my answer, wouldn't it have been? This side would have been bigger if I had actually not missed that there is no and for a decimal. So 158 thousandths looks like that. The next one, we've got 703 and 5 thousandths. We've got it 703 and 5 thousandths. So this and is incredibly important because it means that the 703 is on that side of the decimal where we actually have whole numbers. So in this case, again, like at the beginning, they're equal to each other. Now what we're going to take a look at is putting them in order. So we're going to go in order. So let's take a look. If you have something that's asking you greatest to least, the way they call it that also too is decreasing order. So they decrease, they get smaller, you start big and you get smaller. Or you could say least to greatest. That's increasing order, meaning you start small and you're getting bigger, you're increasing in size. So the first example I've got for you says that we're going to be arranging them in increasing order. So they're all 14 as far as each one of them has a whole number of 14. So say we're starting with 14 sandwiches. And then we all have 2/10, 2/10, 2/10. Each one of them has that. This one doesn't have any hundredths at all. Neither does this one. This one has 4 hundredths. This one only has 1 100th. So this one right here is probably going to go first because it has more to it. So if we were going to do that, I'm just going to say this is number 1 because it's got more than this one. Now let's look at the last two we've got. 204 thousandths compared to 200. So there are no extra thousandths of a sandwich that this one's got, but this one has 4 thousandths of a sandwich to make it really, really slightly bigger. Only a little bit bigger, but it is bigger. Now we go into decreasing order. So we have 439 on every single one of these. They all have 439. They all have a, they don't all have a 2 in the 10ths place. This one's a 2, this one's a 1, that's a 6, that's a 2. Oh, ding, 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 6. That's definitely bigger. The next thing we've got here is 2 versus 1. The 2 wins that boat, so these have 2/10 of sandwiches. Then we look at hundredths of sandwiches. This only has a 1 100th of a sandwich, but this one over here, that has 6 hundredths of a sandwich. So there's a little more sandwich going on here than there is here. And then this one only had 1/10, so that one's not big. So you can also look at it like money. This is 61 cents. This is 26 cents. This one's 21 cents. And this one's only 12 cents. So if you look at like money, sometimes that's an easy way to tell too, as far as comparing things. All right, now time for your 4 problems for the evening. Here's what we've got. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can zoom in a little bit on that. Bring it into focus. See if this will work. Oh, it's not looking too good. Let's see. I might have to take it on out of that. Put it here. See if this will help. Okay. That part right there, if we put the pen down, now you can see it pretty well. We have make a place value chart and place these numbers in it. 167 and 4/10, and then the one on the right says 167 and 462 thousandths. So that place value chart there, you've got a decimal in the middle of it. Fill those in. Again, the next one, 32 and 725 thousandths, comparing to 32 and 735 thousandths. So when you put those in your number chart, you're going to think about which is bigger, which is smaller, and then it asks you to fill in the circles with greater than, less than, or equal to symbols. At the very bottom, what you've got down there is arrange these in order, big to little. So you know you're going to decreasing order, decreasing in size. And we have 7, 6, decimal, 3, 4, 2, 7, 6, decimal, 3, 3, 2, 7, 6, decimal, 2, 3, 2, and 7, 6, decimal, 3, 4, 3. Thanks.